Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Streamcast. I'm Gwyn, Lord of Cinder, and I'm joined by,
Isaac Clarke from Dead Space.
again, going with the Isaac, but it
Yeah, it's a great
works.
name. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Let's get straight into the meat of the podcast. A couple of podcasts ago, we talked about FIFA, new engine, new stuff. So its number one rival, Pro, or PES as it's known by some of its players, is now going under an official rebrand. As of this moment, PES Pro is now eFootball and will now convert its model to a free to play online gaming experience. Do you have any first thoughts on this, Isaac?
One that really springs to mind super quickly. The names FIFA and PES are very iconic. And to change it from PES to eFootball, it just sounds like one of those football games that didn't quite make it. Like I think there's one called This Is Soccer. Okay. I don't think it's still about. Uh and I'm sure you know others in your head, or you know others, but you've forgotten them as well. I think we can agree on that. Like there are some games that just didn't stand the test of time, and FIFA and PES are the juggernauts. And this rebrand. Imagine if you're like a parent and you want to buy your child a football game. What if you're our age and you're out of it, but you want to buy your child a football game? You don't see PES, you only see FIFA. I guess I'm getting FIFA. What's eFootball? I don't know about this one. I don't think they should drop the PES name, um, but I like the direction they're going. What about you?
So I like the concept of what they're doing very much. I
Mm.
like the fact that they're going away from the annual subscription model. Things that FIFA customers have complained about for many years, the rivals are actually doing it. So that might be the kick up the backside that the industry needs. Obviously, this is something that we've seen in other kinds of games. So Fortnite, Apex, these are games that are free to play and they are hugely successful. So this isn't like a nail in the coffin of the franchise at all. I do agree with you though. I don't think they should have changed the name because as people, we are quite fickle and we're quite simple. Not to say we're stupid, but we're simple. So if we see that logo that we've seen 20 years ago, it might give us, a feeling to reignite that feeling, especially if it's a free to play model. Why wouldn't you play Pro if it was free? It makes all the sense in the world. But I get why they changed the name. It's a new era, it's a new type of game. So maybe it's not going to carry any of the old Pro stuff, which might be a worry because Pro, even though it's the Pepsi of the football simulation world, it still has its loyal following. So with this, they risk losing that loyal following. I hope that they properly prepared for that and hopefully are going to make new fans in case they lose some old ones.
Yeah, it's a shame when like old fans run away because it's not the exact same thing they love. Like change is good. We we're meant to change. Change is better. Um, but I will say they've got this thing called the one-on-one system. I don't really know what exactly it's gonna bring. They say that what did they do? They create a massive range of new animations showing how players react differently depending on facts such as ball position and running speed. And in my head, what that's probably gonna amount to is holding L2 to guard when someone runs at you, and maybe your player, moves a little bit differently. I don't know, like how much they can flesh it out with the buttons they have available because like PES and FIFA, the control schemes, I haven't touched PES in like 10 years, maybe longer, but it was mostly the same as FIFA. So I don't know how you're going to get this whole like one-on-one thing to work and be really cohesive. And you've got it on like multiple platforms as well. So it's not like you can really like change the camera angle or something like that. Because then how would you play with like your friends? So I'm really interested to see where this new thing they've added is going to take the game. Is it going to be, a little tweak and it's the same game year after year? Which actually wouldn't be terrible this time because you're not paying for a new game. You will have the same game and those tweaks. Do you know what? Let's rewind a little bit. The tweaks I have to say, because the tweaks are great actually, because you don't even buy the game, you get it, and it's going to be a service that lasts you for years. So, like you said, with the subscription model gone, instead of paying like £40 for them to ruin the penalties and the defending, and you having to get used to it, and you only having the game for like 6 months because it takes 6 months to get used to it, especially if you're a casual like me that doesn't play often. This is great because it means that you put it down, you pick it up, and it's changed a little bit, but that's fine. It's not like I've bought a new game. Let me just get used to it, like whatever. I think it's a good thing they're doing, and I'll definitely give Pez a try. And if it sucks, well, I haven't lost anything, so I guess they've got everything to gain.
Yeah, it's so true. I think people are going to be so beholden to the brand of FIFA that they're not even going to give eFootball a chance, and that's going to be the biggest thorn in their side. Because as you said, that is ideally what everyone wants from FIFA. They want one game that they don't have to keep buying every year, that they don't have to be doing stupid things to. Like, if you could make one football game and you're just making tweaks like season kits and all of that, that's ideal in the average football gamer's mind. So I don't see why you wouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a lot of like doubts because I saw the trailer and it didn't look good. Like the whole
Okay.
yeah, it was okay, but I'm not gonna lie, FIFA looks a lot better. So that's a big hill that they have to overcome. I don't know why pros models have always looked a bit rough and muddy.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that they combat that. Obviously, they've got Iniesta and Piqué working on the game, which is ideally what you want. You want two of the most brilliant football minds ever to like kind of tell the game people what makes a good football game. Like art should be imitating life here. I'm worried that the offline support isn't going to be as good as Pro was.
Mm-hmm.
Like online mode is great and everything, and all games should have an online mode if possible. But I do think all games should have an offline mode too, if the game calls for it. And a game that's a football simulation game definitely should call for that. If you have some friends around, you should definitely be able to play a couple games with them. And I don't know what modes are going to be available, and that's a bit scary that they haven't revealed any of that information.
I think they've revealed that there's going to be a kickoff. It was very brief towards the end. Like you saw some slides that didn't show any gameplay, but the gameplay is always going to be football. So I guess like what is there to show? But we'll have kickoff. Kickoff is guaranteed. So you've got your bread and butter there. There's kickoff.
And I mean that's good for me and good for casuals, but like there are other modes that people are interested in that are offline, like career modes and Master League. I don't know if those are going to be continued in the new version of eFootball. And they've put like a I don't know if it's like a release window, but they've put like a timetable of what they are trying to release when and what they're trying to achieve. And not too much about local play has been announced. So I'm a bit apprehensive about that, but I think what they're trying to do is very ambitious. And I mean, they do have as good a chance now as ever because I think they realized that Pro was a sinking ship. They were capped because the industry was the way it was and the market share was the way it was. No one really was going to give up FIFA to play Pro. So I think this is probably the best move that they could have done. But we have to wait and see if this is worth a Fortnite or an Apex, people getting involved in this kind of project.
I mean, I think based on what you said, it's the right move and it's what they had to go on because it does two things. If it works, great, it works for them, but also it kind of separates them from FIFA as well. So if this works and people like it, then FIFA have to step up. They have to change. They have to do something drastic and radical. And their first iteration probably won't be great. So that's great for Pro. And honestly, as a casual fan myself, I think this is just great news because me and my friends, I think between us, we have FIFA 19, and we still bang that out. Like we don't care. We just want to kick ball and get takeaway. So this is perfect. And like, if this game was something that we liked and we didn't pay anything for it, and there was something that was like, you can buy this kit for £5, I'd be like, yeah, why not? And it's going to be
Yeah.
all those why nots that like get them their money. So they've got something good on their hands.
Yeah.
I think.
I assume they'll be using very different metrics to measure the success of their release, which is fine. And another thing that eFootball is going to try and do to separate itself from FIFA is include crossplay across all of their platforms. So mobile players will be able to play PC gamers and console gamers and vice versa. And I think that's really the way games should be played. If it's available on all these platforms, why not be able to play each other? And I think that is going to be a good USP for eFootball. Hopefully that there isn't anything like lag or any disadvantages for playing on a mobile versus a console or anything like that. Excited about that, most of all, I think.
I mean, I do worry about that a little bit because it's so easy to. I think it's really easy to disconnect on a phone because you could just turn off the phone like in a couple seconds, or just close the app with a swipe. Like it's a bit harder to. Well, I guess it's not harder to do on your console. You just like shut the game off, but. I don't know, man. I just don't trust co-op with FIFA Mobile and salty players, especially because like, is FIFA gonna run? Like, is it gonna be streamed to your phone, or like, can phones run like a whole game of FIFA? Or maybe they can, but I wouldn't want my phone running like FIFA. I feel like it'd heat up in my hands.
Yeah, I gotta get those cases and those protective gloves. But I think eFootball should be able to run on the phone. Phones are more powerful nowadays anyway. And I don't know how complex a game of eFootball is going to be. So I think that should be fine. Like, the whole disconnecting thing is a thing that's going to happen. It's part of the culture.
Yeah, that's terrible. It shouldn't be part of the culture.
Yeah.
Take your L like a man. Or take your L like a respectable person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take your L like an adult.
Like an adult, thank you.
I think there should be punishments for that. And I know people are going to say, well, if you have crappy internet, well, yeah, I mean, get good internet. I think that there should be punishments for DC and quitting. I think certain games are starting to implement that. Like, you'll have like a certain mark on your avatar or something. But I do think that should be part of the culture as well. Like, this person is known to rage quit when they're losing.
Yeah. Or like, maybe they do it now. I don't play enough FIFA Online. Actually, I don't play any FIFA Online. But in Ultimate Ninja Storm 2, actually, because it's the last one I played. And I think most games have this. Like, you'd see how strong someone else's internet was before you got to play them. And I'm not sure if FIFA does the same thing where you can see their signal strength and then fight them. Or like have the opportunity to back out if their signal strength sucks. I'm not sure if FIFA has that. I know games like Smash Bros doesn't have that. You just kind of go in and hope for the best. So I know something as simple as that would be really helpful. So you can be like, okay, I'm not going to get a good game here. Let me leave. Because like, not everyone can get great internet, and that's fair enough. But if your internet is bad, I feel like you should play with other people who have bad internet, because it's not fair on someone who's, maybe forked out more money for an internet that works or can like be by their router. It does suck, don't get me wrong, but I don't think your bad internet should ruin someone else's experience.
I agree 100%. 100%. This isn't something trying to blame or shame people who don't have great internet. This is not that pod. But yeah, as Isaac said, we are trying to say that really you should be able to have a good game of whatever you're playing online. And if everything's good on your side and you're seeing, that your opponent or whoever you're playing with has bad internet, I think that's not something that you should suffer for.
Agreed.
But let us know what you think about this entire topic, whether you are watching or listening to this podcast. What do you think about Pro Evolution Soccer now becoming eFootball, now being free to play? Very ambitious, looking to do all this cross-play stuff. How do you feel about this? Will you be getting eFootball? Let us know. Now, in the last podcast, California was suing Sega, and they're back at it because they are suing Activision Blizzard. My goodness, this state is so busy. But this time it's for more serious charges. Activision Blizzard has been sued by the state of California for discrimination against their female employees. And these really range and they're quite foul. So this comes to us via Bloomberg, and a lot of this is frat boy culture, sexual harassment. There is a lot of rape jokes. So it is quite serious. Isaac, do you have any thoughts on this?
It sucks. It really sucks. And to just add a bit of, well, no, not to add a bit of perspective, because it's what's going on, and it's not just in the video game industry. It's all over the place, really. But we are a video gaming pod, and we're looking at video games at the moment, and the fact that it's been on for 28 years is crazy. And what I found even more crazy was the fact that we haven't made progress. Because when Atari were about, they had basically the same work culture. And it was a case of are things getting better now? That all came out, and you're like, whoa, that's crazy. Some people wanted to work there, but looking back on it now, it's like, well, no, that's actually a really toxic environment unless you meet a certain criteria of person, which isn't fair. Because if you make friends at work, great. If you love your job, even better. But at the end of the day, the sole reason a lot of us go to work is so we can pay for a roof over our heads and to do the things that we enjoy. In a weird way, we have to go to work. It's a form of servitude we have to do. So to go there and to have to be exposed to these conditions, it's not right, because it's not. You are choosing to be there, but at the same time, you're not. You have to get paid. Otherwise, you can't live in this capitalistic world we live in.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that certain rules and laws are not enforced, are in place. They just need to be enforced now, and that takes everyone to do it. So I think we were seeing some posts on Twitter where certain people are like, oh, I've been at this company for X amount of years, which is a very long time, and they never knew. And okay, let's say you did never know, but you are a senior member of staff who has the responsibility to look after your team. This says two things. You're either turning a blind eye, or you are ignoring people three things. You're turning a blind eye, you're actually ignoring people, or people don't feel comfortable enough to talk to you. And maybe it's because they think you're not actually going to help, or maybe it's because they think you are also part of the problem. And that in itself is another problem.
Absolutely.
And to go back to Atari, it's weird how when I read that Bloomberg report, it just sounded like what Atari did all those years ago, the exact same thing. Because I was shocked to find out that they would drink in the office and then go to other people's cubicles. First and foremost, interrupting someone at their desk is a cardinal sin unless you come with good news, with a little bribe, bring me a snack or something. Bring me a joke. Be someone I like. But don't come to my desk. I don't want anyone bothering me.
Yeah.
Let me just do what I need to do and go. And they're getting drunk and actively antagonizing other people in the workplace. It's terrible. And it's a shame it's still going on, but more so for the people who I've had to endure it. I rambled enough
Absolutely.
for long enough. What are your thoughts?
No, I think you said a lot of things already. That very powerful, very strong, very right. I agree. I basically think that similar to when we've talked about race issues, it's
Mm-hmm.
not something that exists in a bubble. It's something that's a global issue. Sexism is a global issue. It's not something that exists in a bubble, and it's not something that we have to think about or hear both sides. I think this many accounts of it means that this is happening. And I didn't even know that about Atari, but you telling me that just told me everything I need to know. The games industry is an old boys club, and if you're not part of the boys, you're not welcome. And they are very skilled in making that clear, and that's sad. That's pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
I saw all the tweets as well. As soon as this Activision news went out, a lot of people who have no connection with Activision, working in different games company, were telling their stories about how something similar happened to them or someone they knew while working in that place. And it's like, why is this so toxic? Why is this everywhere? Why is this so omnipresent? I don't understand. So I hope Activision can get rinsed by California. I hope they get finished. I will personally not play another Activision/Blizzard game until I see true forms of change, because that is the most I can do personally. It's a games company. The biggest protest I can do peacefully is not buy their games, and they're not getting another cent or another minute from me, and that's something I'm prepared to do and stand by. We also need to we need to fight these traits. So it's not just the games industry that this happens, but it's in the workplace, it's on public transport, it's in parks, it's in the clubs, it's everywhere. And we need to stand up and fight against anything like this nature. And it's not enough to laugh along, because that will make the situation, dissipate. It's not enough to ignore the situation so you don't get involved. You have to get involved, stick your neck out, be prepared to be vilified, be prepared to lose some friends, because some people aren't willing to let go of that culture. They've been brought up that way. And as you said earlier in the pod, change is good. Change is something that has to happen, evolution.
Mm-hmm.
And some people aren't ready to go through that. And to them, I say, see ya, we'll leave you in the past. And we can't allow people to be getting away with this anymore. It's a shame we don't have more power, because we could probably do something real about this. But it's stuff that we talked about in the previous pod. If you haven't checked it out, please check out the Rooney Rule. We talk about Activision, and it was a completely different problem, but it was the same company, and we knew from that moment that there was some fuckery going on with them, with them man there. I think it was the Rooney Rule. They weren't willing to implement the Rooney Rule because they used the same old excuse. I think they didn't want to give someone an executive role just because of what they look like. They wanted it to be based on merit, which, hearing it is fine, but like in actuality, what you're getting is a lot of nepotism. You're getting a lot of the same old, hetero Caucasian males doing their damage,
Mm-hmm.
hiring their own, and doing stuff like this. It's really quite creepy, and that's a nice way of putting it. I hope Activision get shut the fuck down. Like I can't stand that a big company is doing stuff like this. And when people you look to look after you are doing stuff like this, where can you really turn to? Like, there's some really horrible stories in this Bloomberg report, and I'm sure that there's stuff that we're never gonna know, which is really, really sad.
Yeah.
It has to stop. And just like with George Floyd and everything that happened last year, This is something that needs to be lifelong change. We need to commit to this. And I say we, I mean the people in charge, the CEOs of companies. These people who are just going to tweet out statements saying, I'm sorry, we messed up. It's not enough to apologize. You have to actually put things in place to ensure that this isn't going to happen again, to safeguard your marginalized workers, people, whether that be gender, race, orientation, or anything like that. You need to safeguard your own employees. They're working for you. They're making you money.
Yeah.
So the least you could do is make them feel safe while they're making you money.
Like, honestly, I am a firm believer of actions speak louder than words. Because there have been times where I've just said stuff, I haven't done them, and then nothing happens. But if I'm just quiet and I do things, like, it does lead to change. So this is just my belief. I'm not sure if other people are going to be like this, but honestly, like, I don't even care about the apology. Like, don't apologize. Don't do anything. But make a change. Like, actually impose things that will create better, like, conditions. Like, forget your negative PR or whatever. Just ignore that. Don't put another dime into it, because marketing is really expensive. Don't do all of these, like, fluff pieces or whatever. Nothing. None of it. No. Action. That's it. That is it. Statement. We're doing X, Y, Z. Leave it. Maybe like 6 months down the line, X, Y, Z got us this. Or we did a survey and things are better now. And give us, like, actual, like, testimonies, etc., etc. Show us that a change is being made. Because honestly, I think that would be the best marketing for them. Because I think it actually does come down to marketing, and you see it during certain times of the year when companies go through a change. There's like a little Jekyll and Hyde that happens, and then once that month is gone, it's back to normal, business as usual. And that doesn't do anything. That does nothing at all. You're basically you're treating the symptoms instead of actually attacking the root cause, the actual disease, and nothing's gonna happen. So action, normal words. I don't know about everyone. Maybe people like the apologies, but I don't care for them. Because honestly, saying sorry does nothing. It does nothing, in my opinion.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. I think there are people that an apology is going to appease, and there is something else that I'd like to see stop. When people get pulled up for their toxic behavior and they apologize, there's a lot of people, and I'm not going to use the word to describe them, but there's a lot of people who go, "Why are you apologizing? It's free speech. Why are you apologizing? It was funny." It wasn't, because it was damaging and it was discriminatory. And those two things need to be accounted for. I think there are people who will generally take the apology well, as in that's the statement of intent. But as you said, if it's not backed up by action, then I don't give a fuck. No one cares for your apology if it's thinly veiled. And to be honest, I don't see real change happening until they get that CEO out of there and get someone else in who actually has the intent to make a better and safer Activision.
But where'd you get that from? Because I mean, a lot of companies like to hire from internally up, and there's a problem there. Or you get someone from external, but then that's someone who, because you see it in organizations when you work there, like if someone comes in who's external and then takes a senior position, like it's a lot more work, because they do have to get to know the people of the business. They do have to get to know how the business works. They do have to know the systems of the business, because not all businesses are the same. They have like certain different ways of doing it. Yeah, they might have like different, ways of speaking to each other. So maybe this is a very basic example. Maybe some companies use Slack. Maybe some use Teams. Maybe some use Skype. And then just really like specify that for all their systems. So you might, be sick at something in one company, but if they do something differently in another company, then you don't know what to do. And if you're, busy trying to get to know how to be good at your job, you're not really going to get the respect of people low from you that quickly, and then you can't enforce change. Like, it's weird. To be a CEO, to be like a leader, you do have to inspire others to an extent. Especially when like you're so high up, you're only speaking to like upper management and not, I don't know, the people who are much lower than you, because there'll be more of them. And like, honestly, one good boss in a small team that's actually quite big can be more beneficial than like one good guy like further up, because his effect won't trickle down. It might even get hidden. Maybe the guy who, said 28 years, didn't know anything. Maybe he just didn't like see. But that's not me defending him. That's just me saying it's a problem with the workforce. There's too much hierarchy. And that in itself can be problematic, because if you have to like do certain things to go so far up the chain to get that change, it slows things down. Like, the things that you do in the business to make money, if it takes ages to get that done, like, how long is it going to take to get the other things done in the company, the more HR related tasks that don't directly make money, but I would say they indirectly make money, because the better staff you have, the more money you'll make. This is me rambling. I'm rambling. I've lost my original point. It's gone. It's completely gone. But getting a new CEO to change things, like, it's going to be tough. You might have to gut a team. You might have to gut some departments. You might have to do a complete restructure. And you know how companies love doing restructuring to get nothing done. So it's a tough one, I think. So it really does start with all of us. Like, if you can just be better to your fellow workers, and if you spot something and it's not okay, like, don't shy away. Go to HR if needed, and hopefully you've got a good HR, because HR are absolute demons. Like, you want HR on your side. And I'm not saying, be a dickhead and have HR on your side. Just be a decent person and have HR on your side by default, because they're there for the good of the company. And if enough people are talking, enough people are raising their voices, enough people raise the issue, what's going to happen is HR are going to do their job, and they're going to talk to the person who has, committed these offenses, and they're going to have a sit down. They're going to have a mature conversation like adults, and hopefully what they've done hasn't been too severe. Talk it out, move on, get on with it. You're there to work and go home. You're not friends. You don't have to be friends. And if it is severe, they get fired. Like, HR is that simple. And it just takes everyone, working together and being as a team and just calling things out, and you'll be fine. Wow, this has become a HR pod. Sorry about that. Let's get back to games.
I mean, I think you made a good point about the new CEO thing. I think that definitely needs to be an external hire, just so we can actually get some change, some much needed change injected to the company. I think if you do it internally, you're just going to get the right-hand man of the, so you don't achieve anything that way. Honestly, I don't know how you solve that problem. It's not our problem to solve personally, but I do think that everyone can have a part to play in solving this issue, which doesn't just exist in Activision, but as I said before, worldwide. So yeah, people like us, we can support by not buying Activision games, not playing Blizzard games. We can, make sure that we stop all forms of sexism that we know, even if they are friends that we've known for a while in group chats and stuff like that. I think you need to shut that down. If you're in the workplace, that's something that you need to be aware of, because everyone knows of the discrepancies when it comes to gender and all of that stuff. So I think there's a lot of stuff that you need to be aware of and having in the front of your mind to ensure that you are not part of the problem, because that's the last thing that you want to be, I hope.
Yeah, I hope so too.
But I guess let us know your thoughts if you are listening to or watching this podcast. What are your thoughts about Activision Blizzard? It's a question that really has one answer. So
Yeah.
I guess what I would say is, have you been affected by anything that you've seen going on at Activision or any other games company, you directly or someone that you know, a relative, a friend of a friend? If you are open and welcome, please let us know. There are contacts that we can give you that you can reach out to that can support you in these difficult times. And I really hope that the people that have gone through this stuff can really find healing and understand that they are not at fault for this kind of stuff, because I know that that is something that can go through the minds of people that go through this kind of trauma or abuse. It's not your fault. I hope you find healing. Okay, I think that's it. I don't have anything else I want to talk about. Do you?
No, it's a pretty heavy topic. I think I'm, yeah, I've got nothing left.
Fair. I do want to say, I mean, thanks, Isaac, for coming on and talking about such a heavy topic. I think it's very easy to talk about all the exciting stuff, all the good stuff that goes on in the gaming world, and it's very easy to turn a blind eye to the ugly side of not just games but the world. And I think that we have a position, we have the privilege to have such a great community that I think that we should talk about stuff like this. And I think it's great that we have. Yeah, I think we've dealt with it with the utmost seriousness as it does deserve. And yeah, like, it is a heavy topic, and unfortunately there's no joke that we can make to make things lighter. There is, the world involves politics, and unfortunately so do games. This kind of stuff is going to come up, and if there were no toxic people in Activision, we wouldn't be talking about this right now. So on that note, please consider giving us a follow on Twitter and Instagram, Streamcast_. Follow us on Twitch, Streamcast TV. And if you're watching this podcast via YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to us, and set the bell to all so you get every video as soon as it goes live. So that really helps us out. And our podcast is available on so many different platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Sounder, Castbox, so many other ones. So wherever you consume your podcast, please search Streamcast or one word, and you should see our very nice logo there. That's the one. Give us a follow. Give us your support. We thank you for your support thus far. We look forward to sharing a lot more content with you in the next few months. Oh, I almost forgot. Troy and I are speaking at the Develop Brighton conference in late October. So make sure you get your early bird tickets while you still can. We'll be talking about diversity. So I think it's well timed. So make sure you check that out. We've got a quiz as well this Friday. We've got a quiz. Can Isaac bring it home to Streamcast when he goes up? Well, he'll be going up against some of the brightest minds in all of games. Can he bring it home? Make sure you tune in on Twitch 9 p.m. on Friday to find out. Oh, Pokemon Shield Nuzlocke series, Thursdays, 5 p.m. on YouTube. That's youtube.com/Streamcast. I am doing a Pokemon Shield Nuzlocke series. It's going great so far. Make sure you subscribe and find out whether I can take it all the way. And really quickly, we are going to shift up what we do with our Patreon a little bit. So from August, if you subscribe to the middle tier, you will get an exclusive monthly podcast featuring us. We're going to be talking about stuff that might be outside of the gaming remit. So if you want a little bit more of us, if you want to show us that support, we'll put the link in the description. He's been Isaac. I have been Gwyn. Please take care of yourselves, stay safe, and we'll catch you on the next Streamcast.